by the Pledge of Allegiance. Almighty God, the giver of all good things, we humbly come before you to seek your blessing and your guidance. Shed the light of your presence in our deliberations. Guide us and direct us in the many decisions we must make. Save us from discord and the selfish purposes. Unite our hearts and minds to serve according to your will and to accomplish the best interest of all of our citizens. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call is going around, as well as a thank you card from Supervisor Zimmer, so you can all take a look at that. First item for action would be consideration of the minutes from our last meeting. We'll be looking for a motion. Motion by Supervisor Engelbrecht, second by Supervisor Niles. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And the minutes are approved. There are no additions to the agenda except that one change with the numbers on some of our resolutions. That's just on their packet. So just if you're looking ahead on the under Public Safety Committee, ordinances 7, 8. Ordinance, the numbers were switched around. And so we just wanted to note that change. It says 2023-2024-76 and 2023/2024-77. Those were flipped on the agenda inadvertently, but it is flipped in your packets, but those are corrected now. Okay, that will take us into reports of county supervisors, offices, and department directors. We've got a couple of proclamations this evening. First is going to be the proclamation declaring April Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month. So if anybody is here to accept that proclamation, you can join me at the podium.
Yeah, okay.
All right, a proclamation declaring April Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month. Whereas every child is precious and deserves to grow up in a healthy, safe, nurturing environment free from threats, dangers, and harmful effects of child abuse and neglect. And whereas child abuse and neglect impact our entire society and can cause traumatic, psychological, emotional, and physical harm to individuals, families, and society. And whereas parents, families, and Manitowoc County residents are encouraged to work together to protect the well-being of our children by recognizing the signs of violence and creating a safe, stable, and nurturing environment that safeguards our children. And whereas in 2023, there were 417 cases of child abuse and neglect investigated in Manitowoc County, and of those cases, 88 petitions for children in need of protection and/or services were filed. And whereas all citizens of Manitowoc County are encouraged to recognize that prevention starts with each of us. Now, therefore, we, Bob Ziegelbauer, Manitowoc County Executive, and Tyler Martell, Manitowoc County Board Chair, along with the Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month in Manitowoc County, and urge all citizens to work together to help reduce child abuse and neglect significantly in the years to come.
I've been asked to give a few words about child abuse and neglect in Manitowoc County. I'll basically review a lot of 2003. We had 1,167 reports to our office of alleged abuse or neglect. Of those, like in our proclamation, 417 of those were screened in. That means somebody from our department actually went out to a home, conducted what we call an assessment, kind of like an investigation to find out if indeed some abuse or neglect had taken place. Of those, we received 63 new cases into the ongoing unit, which is a unit I supervise. We currently have 115 open cases in my unit, which is providing services to 321 adults and 221 kids. Of those cases that we have open, 41 are in-home, 70 cases are with children in out-of-home care, either living with a relative or a foster parent. And 4 are cases where we have a blend of both, some living at home, some living in out-of-home care. Through 2023, we served 234 children in out-of-home care. In January of 2003, we had 145 children out of home care. As of this month, we're down to 133, which means we've achieved permanence for several kids, and that's a good thing. We're always trying to get that number down. When we do our out-of-home care work, we're always trying to find family. We have a family find position, which has been very successful here in Manitowoc. It's allowed us to have 50% of our out-of-home placements with relatives, which is quite a bit better. The state average throughout the other counties is 39%, so we're doing a really good job of that, which we're very proud of. Lastly, for Abuse and Prevention Month, it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. We're going to have blue ribbons and windows downtown. We have a sign out in front of Human Services. We will be getting a sign out in front of Human Services, and we've got a couple digital billboards. I don't want to say promoting, but recognizing that it is Child Abuse and Prevention Month, and how if everybody can get together, hopefully, I hate to say it, we're the only profession where we'd like to outwork the job and not have any abuse or neglect in the area. So thank you again, appreciate it.
All right, our second proclamation this evening is in honor of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. So if you are here to accept this proclamation, I invite you to join me at the podium. Whereas, the Manitowoc County Joint Dispatch Center provides emergency communications for Manitowoc County, the City of Manitowoc, the City of Two Rivers, and the City of Kiel on a 24-hour basis. And whereas the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials has designated the second full week in April as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And whereas Manitowoc County recognizes that public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical link between our citizens and emergency services providers, that the services they provide are vital to the health, safety, and welfare of the community, and that their commitment and devotion to public service deserves public recognition. And now, therefore, we, Bob Zegebauer, Manitowoc County Executive, and Tyler Martell, Manitowoc County Board Chair, along with the entire Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, have designated the week of April 14th through 20th, 2024 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Manitowoc County to honor those dedicated employees whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and community safe.
As someone who's personally listened to a person take their last breath or chalk someone out from pulling the trigger on themselves, we're often not thought about because we're not someone that you see. We're in the background answering phone calls or responding to radio traffic. And the state of Wisconsin, unfortunately, doesn't recognize us as first responders. So it really means a lot that our local government here in Manitowoc County, that we're able to have this opportunity to be here today in front of all of you to accept this proclamation. So on behalf of everyone at the Manitowoc County Joint Dispatch, thank you.
All right, next we have proclamations recognizing some of our outgoing supervisors. So unfortunately, some of our fellow supervisors couldn't be here tonight to accept these proclamations, but I want to recognize them anyway, and we'll get the proclamation to them in the coming days. So the first proclamation is for Supervisor Jim Bry. Whereas Supervisor Jim Bry served on the county board from April 1996 until April 2024, proudly representing the people of the 4th District located in the city of Manitowoc, Ward 7 and 8. And whereas in his 14 terms on the county board, Jim Bry effectively served county government in numerous capacities. He served as county board chair from 2006 to 2010, and 2014 to 2022 as first vice chairperson from 2002 to 2006, and he served as a member of the Ad Hoc Healthcare Center Study Committee, Economic Development Group, Ethics Board, Executive Committee, Expo Inc. Executive Board, Finance Committee, Human Services Board, ICE Center Board Liaison Member, Lakeland Care District Board, Loan Review Board, Local Emergency Planning Committee, Manitowoc County Library Advisory Committee, Manitowoc Public Library Board of Trustees, Planning and Park Commission, Public Works Committee, Special Healthcare Center Study Committee, and the Transportation Coordinating Committee. And now therefore, we, County Executive Ziegelbauer and County Board Chair Tyler Martell, along with the Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, hereby commend and express their sincere appreciation to Jim Bry for his service of the citizens of Manitowoc County as a member of the Manitowoc County Board. Next is for Supervisor Bauman, who also couldn't make tonight's meeting. Whereas Jim Bauman served on the county board from April 2012 until April 2024, proudly representing the people of the 14th District located in the city of Kiel. And whereas in his 6 terms on the county board, Jim Bauman effectively served county government in numerous capacities. He served as a member of the Finance Committee, Grievance Committee, Human Services Board, Manitowoc Calumet Library Systems Board of Trustees, Personnel Committee, Public Safety Committee, and the Transportation Coordinating Committee. And now, therefore, we, County Executive Bob Ziegelbauer and County Board Chair Tyler Martell, along with the Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, hereby commend and express their sincere appreciation to Jim Bauman for his service to the citizens of Manitowoc County as a member of the Manitowoc County Board. And last, but certainly not least, we have Supervisor Vogt. So if you would join me at the podium, please. You're really going to make me say all these committees? Come on up. Whereas Norb Vogt served on the county board from April 1998 until April 2024, proudly representing the people of the 7th District located in the city of Manitowoc, wards 13 and 14. And whereas in his 13 terms on the county board, Norbert Vogt effectively served county government in numerous capacities. He served as a member of the Airport Advisory Committee, Board of Health, Ethics Board, Expo Inc. Liaison Member, Grievance Committee, Healthcare Center Committee, Highway Committee, Human Services Board, ICE Center Board Liaison Member, Industrial Development Corporation, Long-Term Support Planning Committee, Manitowoc County Library Advisory Committee, Manitowoc Public Library Board of Trustees, mainly Manitowoc Board of Directors, Personnel Committee, Planning and Park Commission, Public Safety Committee, Public Works Committee, Special Healthcare Center Study Committee, and Wisconsin Works Steering Committee. And now, therefore, we, County Executive Bob Ziegelbauer and County Board Chair Tyler Martell, along with the Manitowoc County Board of Supervisors, hereby commend and express their sincere appreciation to Norbert Vogt for his service to the citizens of Manitowoc County as a member of the Manitowoc County Board.
That was a little too much. I had written some notes, but it's on my desk. Anyway, in 20 some odd years on the county board, I felt it's time to quit. I'll be hitting 90 if I wouldn't run again, and that's knocking on the door saying it's time to go. Outside of that, I've had a great time on the county board. Over the years I've been here, I've probably missed about 5 or 6 meetings of both commissions and committees and county board meetings. So I figured it was a job well done. Outside of that, got to thank the people of the 7th District who represented me and held me accountable, I guess, for what I was doing over the years. I have to thank them all. I have to thank all the people in the county board I've served with. I'll be coming probably back a few times just to see what's going on. I want to make sure everything's going fine and everything is happening the way it should. Outside of that, I wish you all well, and someone else will be sitting in my chair next year and hoping he does well also. That's about it. Thank you.
Yeah, those last proclamations are always sad but celebratory, and I always like hearing the parting words of wisdom from some of our very experienced members here on the county board. So thanks again, Norm. Next, we have public comment. First, we have a presentation by Chris, and sorry if I mispronounced your last name, Collada. Perfect. Awesome. He's from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, and he's our regional representative. He's going to give a presentation about our new Level 3 certification.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, and thank you for your service. That's exceptional service to a lot of the board members. I know I had worked with Jim Bry in the past when he was the board chair, and I've been here in the past to present 140 certificates, so just want to say thank you for the service. I'm the Northeast Region Director, so it's a 17 county area, 19 local health departments, and 3 First Nations. We have 85 health departments in the state of Wisconsin, and so we have 3 levels of health department. We have a couple of level 1s. Most are level 2 or level 3 health department. And so Manitowoc County had been a level 2 health department, and they just met and had a 140 review back on October 9th. So just what are some of the steps? What's required to move to a level 3? And so the short answer is it's a minimum compliance audit, so we're not like some of the more intensive audits. We're looking at quality improvement, we're looking at best practices, we're looking at opportunities to grow. This is not a gotcha type audit. So basically, Karina and her team had to submit annual reports, documentation that the Board of Health meets quarterly, a community health assessment, a community health improvement plan, and we reviewed her local health officer qualifications. Now, so one of the things that I have some recommendations that I'll get into in a minute from that review. What's different from a level 3 to a level 2? And so basically, a level 3 is a little different. So one of the things that Karina in her role and her team, they're expected to be community health strategists, not just doing services, not shots in arms or individual services. How do they think about Manitowoc County in cooperation with other departments, other nonprofits, and other partners to try and improve the health of the people of Manitowoc County? They try and develop and put in place and advocate for policies addressing the social determinants of health. How do you think about homeless population or transportation needs or other needs in the county? And then also ensuring that services align with the most recent state public health agenda. The state statute calls it the State Public Health Agenda. We call it the SHIP, or the State Health Improvement Plan. That was recently published, and there's lots of opportunities to align the work that's happening in Manitowoc County. It's more of a framework. It's not the state telling you have to do certain things in your jurisdiction as a home rule state. And then one last part is just making sure that there's a performance management system. The agency must collect performance data, evaluate goals, conduct quality improvement, and use the system to advise agency decisions. It's not just doing things, trying to look at the data to try and improve their services. So from our review, there's a few strengths of the Manitowoc County Health Department. And so one of it is your environmental health program. And so you have a fantastic partnership with UW Oshkosh for completing beach testing and training environmental health students. And we laugh because one of your students actually is the Dodge County Health Officer. So you talk about what a great training environment is. It'd be great if they stay, but sometimes it's great to give opportunities to others, and that just helps the public health system. So that's one highlight. The other, you guys have a nuclear power plant. And so you guys have been doing part of the Wisconsin nuclear field team since the 1970s, and you guys actually have some contracts to try and do regular monitoring of air every week and water and milk every month. So that's an extra expectation that Doreen and her team and emergency management and others in Manitowoc County have taken on. A second strength is data collection and action. And so we saw this as kind of like the health department's data hub. And so I just referenced between 60 or 70 agencies, many representing underserved populations, review multiple data points and resources. So that's that strategist role. It's not having to do everything, it's providing the data to tell the story to allow the community to act on what are the priorities. And the last strength was emergency preparedness and response. I mentioned the nuclear power plant, but they do more than that. They do year-round exercises and drilling and working with other partners, and we highlighted that as a strength. Now, moving on to some quality improvement opportunities. One is, let's talk about assessing organizational change. I mean, from the last time I was here 5 years ago, you had 5 different public health nurses. I mean, COVID did a number on a lot of local agencies. There's a lot of change either due to retirement or stress or opportunities to get higher paying jobs in other places. And so having new staff is fantastic because it's an opportunity to look at new energy and new ideas, but it's also something just to remember that there's a lot of change and it's going to take some time. And I know I've talked to Karina about you're rebuilding and you're assessing from building that internal base of your staff, and that's so important. The next quality improvement opportunity I'm just going to touch on because it's already being worked on. So public health is working with your HR. Typically we see this, we have something called the core public health competencies, and we like to see them in the position descriptions. I know there's some rules in place that hasn't happened in Manitowoc County, but they're working together to maybe add a link to the competencies, which would meet that area. So I'm not going to go into that any further. And then the last comment that the review team had was, because your health department is located in downtown, it's accessible to the urban population of Manitowoc County. What are those intentional opportunities to reach out to the rural or the farther reaches that are outside the city limits of Manitowoc? And so those are just areas that we highlighted as opportunities for growth. Nothing that it's bad, it's just there's processes, and we're always trying to ask those questions. You're doing this, but is there opportunities to improve? So that is the 140 report. Karina, anything you want to add on that? What I do want to say is we so appreciate the leadership of your county executive. I know in the past you've added positions to public health when there were some of the COVID times. I know there's been the support of the Board of Health. Rita, we've been at past 140 reviews together, and I know the Board of Health has been so supportive of the health department, and we really, really appreciate that. And so if there's nothing else you want me to touch on?
No, that's good.
All right.
What I would say to add to that is that we look forward to implementing these recommendations. We've reviewed over 10 plans so far.
Ms. Ogmar, could you just approach the microphone, please?
So we look forward to implementing all of those recommendations. We're already starting. We have already started on reviewing a number of plans. Like I said, working with Chris and HR to get a link to those public health competencies in there in a manner that will still retain the best talent for the health department. And then also we have a number of plans to increase services in rural populations such as vaccination clinics, and then providing some other areas for more rural populations. So this is really, certificate is a reflection of the work of the health department staff over the last 5 years. So, and then could not do it, like Chris mentioned, without the support of the Board of Health. So on behalf of Manitowoc Health Department, I would like to thank the Board of Health for your support in implementing those activities that allow us to meet these standards.
So I'll say one more thing and then I will read the certificate. We've added a quality improvement process from the Department of Health Services Division of Public Health. What we've been doing for years, we do these 140 reviews. We'd send out reports. We'd have all these recommendations. We didn't do anything with them. So now what we do is somewhere about 4 months from now, I'll send Karina an email. I'll say, hey, what recommendations were helpful? What were able to be acted on? What was struggles? How can we improve our process? So we're not just asking health departments and counties or jurisdictions to improve their processes. We're looking to improve our processes. So with that being said, I have a certificate of designation from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services to Manitowoc County Health Department. Is a local health department in good standing with the statutes set forth by the Wisconsin legislature and relevant administrative rules of the department. This local health department was formally reviewed by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services Division of Public Health on Monday, October 9th, 2023. It has been determined that this local health department meets the requirements as is so designated as a level 3 in accordance with DHS 14008, or the 140 review or administrative rule, and is in designation in force up to 5 years. So what we do on purpose is we asked our state health officer, Paula Tran, to sign it on 12/20/2023, so it's good for the full 5 years rather than dragging into 2024. So congratulations. And my understanding is you're going to take this back to a Board of Health meeting and present it there. So congratulations. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Continuing with public comment, are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any other members of the public wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, I will close public input, and that will take us into our committee reports. We will start with Planning and Park Commission, Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning and Park Commission met on February 26th. On our docket that day, it included 3 rezone requests and consideration for the 2024-2025 Snowmobile Trail Maintenance Program resolution. After confirming open meeting law compliance, we opened the floor for public comment. First, for our consideration tonight, is a rezone request from David and Cheryl Schneider from the town of Schleswig from commercial business to lake residential. The staff evaluation in the letter from the town of Schleswig supporting the request was entered into the record. We heard testimony from town supervisor Bushel, and the commissioner's questions were answered. A motion to approve the rezone request passed unanimously. On behalf of the commission, I so move to approve ordinance 2023-2024-70, amending the zoning map for David and Cheryl Schneider.
There's a motion and a second by Supervisor Niles. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending zoning map for David and Cheryl Schneider.
And the motion's approved.
Next for our deliberation is a rezone for Arlen and Lori K. Eckert from the town of Rockland from exclusive ag to small estate. The staff review was complete and the letter from the town of Rockland supporting the request was entered into the record. Mr. Eckert testified and answered questions for the commission. After discussion, a motion to approve the rezone passed unanimously. Therefore, I so move to approve ordinance 2023-2024-71, amending zoning map for Arlen and Lori K. Eckert.
There is a motion, second by Supervisor Vogt. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending zoning map for Arlene and Lori Eckert.
And the motion is approved.
Continuing our deliberation is the rezone of Dennis and Mary Friends from the town of Gibson from exclusive ag to rural residential. The staff review was complete, and a letter from the town of Gibson supporting the request was entered into the record. Mr. Dezu, a surveyor, testified and answered questions for the commissioners. After discussion, the motion to approve it was unanimous. I now so move to approve ordinance 2023-2024-72, amending the zoning map for Dennis and Mary Friends.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Marsh. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending zoning map for Dennis and Mary Franz.
And the ordinance is approved.
Next was a discussion and possible acceptance of the 2024-2025 snowmobile trail maintenance resolution. Staff gave an overview and answered questions for the commission. Our county has participated for 51 years, maintaining and improving the 240 plus miles of snowmobile trails. And yes, when an abundance of snow doesn't materialize, the activities to maintain these miles are year-round. After discussion, the motion to approve the resolution passed unanimously. Therefore, I so move to approve Resolution 2023-2024-73, accepting the 2024-2025 Snowmobile Trail Aids Program.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Supervisor Engelbrecht. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution authorizing the 2024-2025 Snowmobile Trail Aids Program.
And the resolution is approved.
Our next meeting date is tentatively scheduled for Monday, April 1st. The advisory meeting starts at 3:30 and the hearing starts at 4. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is the end of my report.
Thank you. Next is the Aging and Disability Board, Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. The ADRC will be meeting March 26th, Tuesday of 2024 at 10 o'clock in Kewaunee County. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Board of Health, Supervisor Metzger.
We met March 12th. The health officer report, we have a 5-year plan that was developed, which was just kind of explained to you a little bit tonight. We have an annual report that's expected to be completed in April. For the nurse manager report, influenza-like illness activity is at moderate to high levels. RSV and COVID are decreasing. COVID-19 now has a 5-day isolation period. Recommendation for those who have COVID are similar to other respiratory virus: stay home until fever-free for 24 hours and symptoms has resolved. Health promotion nursing team conducted 4 different outreach events, presentation on staying healthy during the respiratory season. The WIC report, we have in February 578 families and 941 participants. I would like to also thank Karina for all the good work she does and the staff that she has. At every board meeting, everything is well prepared and well represented to tell us what's all going on. Are there any other health board members want to say anything about Karina or anything? Okay, if not, our next meeting is April 11th at 5 p.m. at the Public Health Building. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. The meeting of the Manitowoc County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council was March 6th. First was the report on drug court. There are 18 participants, 1 person joining in April. Currently, most participants are in the latter phases of the program, though 6 are either in phase 1 or in phase 2, which are services that are more intensive. The team will attend a conference in April. The next was the attorney Belka reporting from the Access to Courts Committee. They discussed some concerns and information. One of the items was the suggestions of translating the Zoom notices in Spanish and Hmong. Also working on a means to assist anyone having difficulty using a handicap access ramp. Next, District Attorney LeBray reported for the Youth Intervention Network as a proxy regarding the grants for the Diversion and Alternative Reforms Team, which the acronym is DART. The leadership met with the reps from the RFK National Resource Center on February 15th. That information has now begun a discussion for implementation plan. The plant grant will be announced in the next 1 to 2 months and will begin in September. The next DART leadership meeting will occur on April 17th. The next meeting, CJC Council meeting, will be scheduled for May 1st. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Supervisor Falkowski. Next is the Executive Committee. Executive Committee met a couple of weeks ago and we discussed the county board rules. No particular reason, just to refresh and look over things that might have changed over time with the new term coming up, and we came up with a lot of good suggestions. Some of you sent suggestions to the committee and we discussed those. It was a really good meeting. We have a redlined version of the updated county board rules that we're going to propose in the next term, and a couple of ordinance changes as well, because in going over the rules we realized some of the things that we wanted to change about how the county board worked were actual ordinances rather than just simple county board rules. And we're going to be looking to have another meeting discussing those if you are interested in joining in on that, seeing the updated version before we present it to the new term. And we'll be doing that probably within the next week sometime. All right. Any questions? Perfect. Next is the Expo Ice Center Board, Supervisor Sikwitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Manitowoc County Expo Ice Center Board met on Wednesday, March 6th and took the following actions. The board approved the State Fair Convention policy and convention budget for 2025. The board approved an annual season pass for board members who have served at least 15 years and either have retired or will retire after December 31st of 2023. The board approved having polka music at this year's fair, Thursdays through Saturday in the afternoon. And the board recommended for county executive approval the appointment of Amber Schneider to the Expo Ice Center Board and submitted a recommendation to the Public Works Committee. The board approved the increase in table rental rates from $10 per table to $15 per table for the 2024-2025 rummage sales season. The next Expo Ice Center Board meeting will be held on April 3rd. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next, Supervisor Hanson with Finance.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. Finance Committee met on the 11th, very short meeting, and we approved the 2 resolutions that are before us tonight. The first resolution is a 10-year bond. We were hoping for a 3.4 percentage rate. We got it down to 3.275, so we got a little better deal on that. That's for the roads, and I so move that we approve that at this time.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Hacker. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution awarding the sale of $4,200,000 General Obligation Promissory Notes Series 2024A.
And the resolution is approved.
Second resolution bonding that we did that night was for a 20-year, $4.075 million, and that's for the HVAC system and the windows at the courthouse. There we were hoping for a 3.8, and we came in at 3.628. So again, we got a little better deal. on the bond. And again, that's a 20-year, and that's for the courthouse. So I so move that we approve that.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Sikowitz. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution awarding the sale of $4,075,000 general obligation courthouse improvement bonds, Series 2024B.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you. All right, next is Highway Committee. Supervisor Benke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to make a point to thank Supervisor Volk for your service on the Highway Committee. You are not too old. You could run for president and fit right in with that group. Your age would not matter in that realm, so just to say. So we met before tonight's meeting, a lot of bids that were submitted for asphalt milling and reclaiming and cold in place bids. Overall, I think the bids came in a little bit better than what they had been last year, so that is a good sign with some of the bids that were out there. We kind of got that inkling when the CR or the R, let's get that CRR bids came in a lot less than what they were projected. So bids are in a decent shape. We also had a parking request from the Village of St. Nazians that we approved. And Greg also talked about on April 10th and 11th, they have their safety days at the Highway Department. They've done a really nice job of working on safety. I mean, if you look at highway, there's a lot of dangerous positions in that occupation, and safety is huge, and they do a really nice job of going over those safety issues and those trainings for those 2 days, and hats off to Greg for implementing and continuing that safety days for our employees. We also talked about the St. Nazians and Reedsville satellite shops. We're going to be doing some work on those. Some is paid for by the state on one, and the other just doing some, which is in budget. Most of them are falling within budget. Our next meeting is April 9th, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Benke. Next, we have the Human Services Board. Supervisor Shimlunis, do you have a report for us this evening?
No, I was sitting here trying to remember what they talked about. I remember some of the, I'm sorry. I would have been more prepared had I known.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Land Conservation Committee and UW Extension, Education, and Agriculture Committee. Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Chairman Martel. The Land Conservation Committee will be meeting this week, March 21st, at 4:45 at the County Office Complex. The UW Extension, Education, and Agriculture Committee will be meeting April 18th at 4:45, also at the County Office Complex. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Next, we have Personnel. Supervisor Marsh.
Thank you. We met on March 5th. On the advice of, on the recommendation from M3, who is our insurance broker, we implemented 3 changes. One of the changes was inclusion of court-ordered services. That will be covered now. Also, regarding inclusion of self-inflicted injuries, that is included now, and also the changing the timely filing requirements for medical claims from 15 months to 12 months. Also, every 3 years, the Department of Workforce Development requires official county board action for the county to remain self-funded for workers' compensation, and the board approved that. And our next meeting is the first Tuesday in April. Thank you. First Tuesday in April. The year is going real fast. Thank you. The end of my report.
What is the first Tuesday? Is that the 9th?
Election, the second.
The 2nd? Oh my goodness. You're meeting on election day. All right. Next we have public safety. That'll be Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met on March 13th. On our agenda that day was the reporting from Coroner Green and several items pertaining to the Sheriff's Department. We also recognized the committee member and secretary, Supervisor Norb Vogt, for his 26 years of sage wisdom on the county board. Continuing onto our agenda, we addressed the Sheriff's Office fee schedule change to the County Code 4.13. This would adopt the Sheriff's Office fee schedule to the County Code. We reviewed supporting documentation and discussed about the fee change proposed, and they appeared to be reasonable and negligible. You have that schedule included with your packet, and that schedule has not been changed for over 8 years. After our questions were completed, a motion to approve the ordinance amendment passed unanimously. With all consideration, I so move to approve ordinance 2020-2023-2024-76, amending the Manitowoc County Code, section of 4.13, Sheriff's Department fees.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Mink. Any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending Manitowoc County Code, section 413, Sheriff's Department fees.
And the ordinance is approved.
The next item we considered was an ordinance amendment to the Manitowoc County Code, Chapter 6.275, following state law prohibiting prostitution. Sheriff Hartwick offered information, and Detective Radke explained some of the operations used in enforcement and how this ordinance assists that enforcement. The discussion and direct questioning to the detective investigating these crimes provided information related to human trafficking and the false premise that prostitution is a victimless crime. This is generally considered a crime against society. Past years' data was more reflective on the concentration of adult entertainment venues rather than an open solicitation in the public. Trending now is the online solicitation affecting a wider geographical area to cover. After discussion, a motion to approve the ordinance amendment passed and to move it on to the county board for approval. Therefore, I so move to approve ordinance 2023-2024-77, amending the Manitowoc County Code, Chapter 6.275, prostitution.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Vogt. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the ordinance amending Manitowoc County Code, Chapter 6.275, prostitution.
And the ordinance is approved.
The remainder to hear from Coroner Green. The year-end 2023 mortality data. Also in attendance was Deputy Coroner Zarnik. Any supervisor that is interested in that data, please email me. The committee has established quarterly data feeds to be aware of any trends in our county. Annually, mortality has fluctuated very much, but one data point is that people die in hospice care more than in the past. For example, 473 in hospice in 2023 compared to 211 in 2008. Cremation is also more common. 476 were in 2023 compared to the 255 in 2008. There were more granular details about drug deaths, suicides, and traffic fatalities, which required more complex investigations. As data demands increase, the state wants more information, but doesn't provide any collection mechanism. In order to keep up, the office will be looking for software in the next budget that will fix that demand. Coroner Green discussed the office structure, comparing the coroner to that of a medical examiner. He noted that this will be his last term, and the county may want to consider moving to a medical examiner versus a coroner. Other notes of interest, a legislative change could end up requiring that bodies be kept for extended period. This could have a considerable fiscal impact. As a real-world example, a concern when a decedent is an illegal non-citizen, embalming is required and as certification by the coroner in some cases responsible for burial costs. And in the case of disposition to another country, that work requires a foreign consulate office as requirements. We thank Coroner Green and Deputy Zarnick for their services that they provide for Manitowoc County. Our next meeting date will be scheduled for April 10th, and we are scheduled to meet with the Clerk of Court, Higgins. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Supervisor Falkowski. Next, we have Public Works Committee, Supervisor Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Public Works Committee met Wednesday, March 13th. We reviewed and discussed the Solid Waste and Recycling Division. Some of the prices for some of the materials we get are up a little over last year at this time, which was a good thing. We approved a not to exceed $500 cost for volunteer workers' meals coming up for the May 19th Clean Sweep program. We reviewed and discussed the Building and Grounds Division, our capital projects. There were no pay requests. Director Neuser reported that a request for congressionally directed spending for fiscal year 2025 has been submitted to Senator Baldwin's office and receipt of the application confirmed. We're asking for any monies that might be available for our courthouse project. We don't expect to get any, but it doesn't hurt to ask. The staff is still working to coordinate the patching of the copper roof areas on the dome around the stainless steel panels for later this spring. The lead architect for the project from Legacy Architecture, Jonathan Desjardins, attended the meeting and presented on their work to date. He reported that the State Historic Preservation Office recommends the windows to be full-height aluminum-clad wood windows to best match the original windows of the building. Desjardins also informed us that the HVAC engineers have begun their work on the HVAC systems replacement portion of the project, and they scheduled to have the initial construction documents available in May, with bids due in June. Hopefully we can get a majority of this work done before next winter. We reviewed and discussed the Communications Division and the Information Technology Division. We got a report from Supervisor Sikowitz on the Expo Ice Center goings on, and we approved the future appointment of Amber Schneider to the vacant position on the Expo Ice Center board. And we reviewed and discussed the Finance Director's Expo Special Revenue Fund report, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Oh, and I would like to mention that I'd like to give a happy birthday to the love of my life and my wife. That's one person who is home celebrating her birthday, watching us on TV, as happens almost every year. And Supervisor Marsh pointed out to me at the Highway Committee meeting tonight that she also celebrates our wedding anniversary by watching us home on TV at yours. So thank you, Chris, and happy birthday. And I'll see you shortly. Thank you. And I invited her here and said that everybody would sing her happy birthday, and she said I will not be here, so I hope that's no reflection on all of you folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Droll, and happy birthday, Chris. Transportation Coordinating Committee, Supervisor Hacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting of the Transportation Coordinating Committee is scheduled for April 24th at 1 p.m. in this building. That will be our initial 2025 through 2029 Manitowoc County Transportation Coordinated Plan Review meeting. This is an opportunity to give
input on the 5-year transportation plan, and all county board supervisors are invited and encouraged to attend. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I do have a couple of announcements. First, if you brought your white onboarding binder from when you were first selected, please leave it on your desk. I'm looking at the look on some of your faces. It's okay. You can bring it to the clerk's office anytime. The sooner the better, obviously. So that way they can reuse them for our next class of supervisors. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, ask the clerk. Second, our meeting next month we have our organizational meeting on the 16th of April, as well as our regular business meeting on the 16th. To recognize those who want to go to their town meetings, we're going to move the meeting up. So our organizational meeting will be at 5 p.m. rather than 6 p.m. And our second business meeting will be a half hour later, starting at 5:30. And hopefully this will allow enough time for supervisors looking to get to their town meetings to be able to drive and attend those. Third, remember election day is April 2nd, so please remember to vote. I wish all of you who are running for election good luck. With that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Supervisor Durrell, second by Supervisor